kid. And apparently when I was like a kid, I always said that I wanted to be a pro gamer. So here I am. I was just telling myself, you know what, I'm going to tell everyone that I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the best top laner in Europe next split. That's just how it is. Turned out I was a bot laner.
Is there a chance that we could form a bet here that if this video hits 2,000 likes, you will show up to LCS with a beard again?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm going to grow out the facial hair and then I'll see what I do with it. Like, again, the stash maybe specifically, it was a little much, depends. So that was really troll.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny, but it was really troll.
Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the very first episode of The 1v1, a special show where we go beyond the 10 to 15 minute boundaries usually set upon us at the EU LCS, or should I say LEC. A show where we go in depth with chosen players and personalities from the world of esports rather than just scratching on the surface. For our very first show, we decided to invite a very special player, a player that was so good that the EU LCS decided to create a whole new award just to show his excellence. A player that made the World's Finals in his very first year of major competitive play. Please welcome everyone, Bwipo!
Hey, thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good as well, for sure. Now, first of all, congratulations on this amazing award, which is huge. Were you surprised to get this award at all?
Like in hindsight, it made sense because when I was at Worlds, they kept emailing our CEO and Pat, and people around to try and get me to come, and it was like, oh, you know, maybe they just want me to show up for whatever reason. But in hindsight, it made sense that I was going to get it. That said, the main reason why I like it is because it's like one of a kind, right? You only have 1 year to get it, so that's kind of the cool thing. But all in all, it's just nice to have. I'm not like, wow, that's like the highlight of my year or anything like that. It's still pretty happy though.
World's Finals, was that the highlight of your year?
It would have been if we didn't flop. I think that's like the painful memory of that. Yeah, it's just.
Is it like bittersweet?
Not necessarily bittersweet. It's just, you know, I think that none of us ever made it that far or had like an understanding of what it was going to be like from a gameplay perspective, at least. So I feel like that's what like the difficult part was of the tournament, is coming to realization that IG was like a few steps ahead of us even before the match was played, right? Like for example, in the preparation, going up in the weeks coming, you know, in hindsight you could tell, wait a minute, these guys like they were preparing just in case that they were prepared in the way that they were scrimming and they were like drafting in scrims. You could tell that they were scouting us and stuff like that, and this is something that we never did, right? Like our scrims, we always tried our hardest to win the game rather than just like, you know what, let's just ban 3 support champions and see what this guy's going to pull out, you know? And IG did that, right? And you could tell in their prep that they were really prepared to play against us specifically. So I feel like in a way they expected us to get there, but you know, I'm sure they did the same against the other teams as well. So from that end, I feel like it was a new experience for staff as well as for the players, right? Because when we went on that stage, I feel like we had the idea of let's just play slow and try not to lose. Whereas IG came out swinging and with the idea of let's end this quickly, right? Let's just fight to the death and see what happens. So I feel like if we came with that same idea of just fighting to the death rather than stalling and seeing what goes wrong, and like, you know, trying to keep the boat afloat rather than just pushing it and steamrolling through, is kind of what bit us in the ass in the end and what made the finals look so one-sided.
Was it difficult for you in particular, given that, you know, you played the first 2 games, difficult laning phase and stuff?
I mean, the second game was the second game was rough. The first game was like, I mean, I feel like honestly, in hindsight, I already told this to staff. We probably should have started Soaz, because I feel like, for me at least, even from a gameplay perspective, I think I have a little more of a versatile champion pool, and a best of 5 like that, I think it's more useful to like for example, like. From our perspective, if I'm playing Urgot or he's playing Urgot, it's relatively similar in terms of expectations of what's going to happen. But in the same vein, if we're going to play Urgot anyway, you might as well play him, right? And then see what happens. And if you notice, oh, you know, in this draft, like in game 1, we were full AD against Sion, and I even told Dylan he's going to pick Sion and Urgot if I lock it in here. Is it an issue? We deemed that it was fine, and we would just play the game anyway. Turned out to be a pretty big issue. And then, you know, game 2, you already have to have the mentality of, all right, we need to adapt something, or something needs to change. But like, we weren't confident that like pulling out the, like swapping the roster already there was a good idea. And I feel like from our perspective as a team, subbing me in would make much more of a difference on how the game goes than subbing Soaz in. Because I feel like with Soaz, like he would just play if he's playing the standard champions, you have probably a better result. But I have more of a like niche champion pool. So I can mix things up.
Right.
So I could come in and slam Swain, you know.
Yeah.
Like this is not something that Soaz would do, for example. And it would make the game completely, or not completely, but change up the pace of the game quite dramatically. And this kind of idea, at least, is something that we learned is probably better in case we work with a 6-man roster going further, right? Is the player with more tricks up his sleeve maybe, or like specific champions, or just, you know, a different approach to the early game, mid game, whatever, would probably be better to start with a guy that's more standard, or at least expected to play more standard. So that's like one of the things we learned. Like I said, in prep as well, you know, like every good team at the tournament, these guys were banning champions purely to see what you're playing next, you know. And if they notice this guy doesn't have shit after the first few champions you ban, you're getting banned out. You're getting banned out.
You're getting target banned hard.
This is what happened at MSI as well against RNG.
Right.
First game I went on stage, you know, I was like, okay, I told my coaches I can play GP, Swain, and Silent every case, and I'll be happy. I go on stage, GP, Silent, Swain, ban, and I look at Dylan and I'm like,
feels bad, man.
Dylan, yeah, maybe I should pick Cho'Gath.
Soaz, how are you doing?
Like that was an experience.
Time out.
Yeah, all in all, I think a good experience all in all, but still sucks that we lost that way.
What were the like moments and very close days like after you guys lost the finals?
For me, I just logged off social media, you know, like I didn't want to deal with anything. Like we knew what the issues were ourselves, and you know, a lot of people are like blaming a lot of things, but that's just how it is, right? Everyone has their own perspective, and like after everything happened, I did go back and read what people thought and said, and honestly, some people are right, you know, like a lot of people are saying that I fed in the finals. Well, I kind of did. Like second game was not very pretty and it wasn't played very well, and I admit that if Soaz played it, he would have had a better performance. This is for sure. But in the same vein, what happened, and we all got to learn from it. And one way I look at it myself is that over the year and leading up to that World Finals, we gave our 100% the entire way through. However, on the way, you also learn how to give more because you've experienced it already. So that's why for 2019 and onwards, I'm going to be able to give more than I was in 2018.
Great. Now, you did say when you received this beautiful award, you went on stage and gave a very short little speech. But you said that you still didn't go as far as you wanted.
Yes.
Those are big words for someone that in his rookie year, one spring split, one summer split, very decisively both times, went to MSI semifinals and went to Worlds finals, something that hadn't happened since season 1.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that a bit like,
I think
up there?
it's up there, but again, we went into the tournament saying we were going to win it.
Right.
It's like that's what people forgot is that we did, you know, move into the tournament saying from the very start, like Madrid, straight after Madrid, we went on to the press conference and I said it straight up, I'm going to win Worlds. We're going to win Worlds.
You can check those videos on the Shotcaller. He's not lying. Sure. Like I think at like during week 9 of LCS,
we already started saying this because Joey was basically already saying we want to win Worlds. On that note, you know, I think that I want to clarify like the tweets and stuff he did. A lot of people had a lot of controversy there, but I feel like from our perspective at least, there was certain things that were like difficult. And specifically the thing about, you know, us losing and the way we felt about losing. I think that the difference Joey was trying to explain is that specifically in the debate with G2, right, there was a lot of controversy there. They didn't really, you know, from our perspective at least, they didn't care that they lost. You know, they were ready to go home. But when we lost the World Finals, everyone was devastated. You know, like nobody wanted to lose that way, and I think that's where the perspective difference comes from, where a lot of people don't pay attention to. Is like, you know, you can joke, like I joke about losing too, you know, like if people are like, haha, you know, you fed game 2. Yeah, I know, I joke about it too. But I think there's a difference between laughing about it as it happens and laughing about it a week later because you feel bad that it went wrong. So I think that, in Joey's defense, at least from my perspective, it makes sense. But again, maybe I'm biased. Probably am.
I feel like you just ruined all your chances of playing on G2, which now is going to be...
No, I mean, it's just, like when you're losing on stage and you're laughing about it, right. I think there's a difference between that and like taking a moment to realize, like, to regret the amount of hours you put in. Because like that's the thing is when you lose like that, you know you did something wrong. You know you could have done better. And taking a moment, even if that's like a few hours or days or weeks, it doesn't really matter, to like think about what could I have done better, I think is important before you start laughing about how bad the performance really was. At least for me. I took a few days off of social media entirely to try and like think about, okay, what can I do better next time I get this opportunity? Because it doesn't come every year, right? Again, I'm 100% going into 2019 with the same idea of making it as far, but you have to be realistic in the sense that you need to have a bracket you can actually beat,
Yeah. And
sure, in 2018, this year, apparently KT and RNG weren't as devastating as we all thought they were going to be. And they got kicked out in quarters, but we've seen the rumors of the SKT lineup.
Yeah. Which I think at this point has been confirmed already.
Yes. Mata, I believe, is confirmed signed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a pretty scary lineup. Wouldn't be surprised if those guys show up to world stage.
I've heard good things about Donwon.
Donwon was very strong. Griffin was very strong. These three teams are basically teams that, like, at least the way I was putting it when we were playing at Worlds is like, the real teams didn't show up to World 2018. Yeah. That's how I put it. When we were scrimming, Donwon and Griffin, it was really, really, it was something else. Like, these guys were really good. So yeah, it really felt like the World's teams didn't show up, at least from Korea. Because I feel like the Korean teams disappointed. I think everyone can agree on that. But they didn't really send the best ones in that sense.
Unlucky for Korea, I guess, but we'll be excited to see them again next year. Now, you said, or you talked a bit about, the difference between you and Soaz. And of course, next year is going to be very exciting in the way that you're going to go up against Soaz. With Soaz playing on his own super team, consisting of Misfits.
Certainly a strong team.
Like Maxlore, Forbidden, Hansama, Gorilla. That sounds pretty amazing. And then, of course, Fnatic being Fnatic. What can we expect with you against Soaz in particular?
Not sure. I've never played against him, right? So it's kind of difficult to say. I think it heavily depends on what champions and like the meta. I think that's a really big deal because I think that for me at least, I'm someone that I like to play on pressure and pushing in, and I feel like if I can do this, then it doesn't really matter who I lane against. I'm going to be annoying no matter what, as long as I can actively move. You'll see this against IG2, for example. At least game 1, I was moving a lot to mid lane, even though the matchup isn't great. Like I would just try to get push and just move. So I was doing that a lot. But every time I moved mid, there wasn't anything to be done, right? So I feel like playing around pressure is something I do pretty well. And it's something that if I can do, I don't think it matters who I'm laning against because I'm trying to it's basically dodging the lane. It's pushing in the wave and roaming. So it's like, you don't really lane. So in that sense, it's just hard to say. I think that if I can do that, then it's not going to be very special, because I'm going to do that. Because I think that's a good way of playing League of Legends.
Okay,
it's a good way of playing top laners. Because I think mid lane is the most important role. So if you can just push your wave and go support mid lane, you're pretty happy.
Fair.
So in that sense, if there is a silent like there was in spring, you can probably see me playing that champion, and then nothing's going to happen, and there's going to be a farm fest. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe Riven, Aurelia, and all these champions are meta, and then you see this matchup, and then I'm sure it'll be explosive. Because at the end of the day, I don't feel like Soaz got to show that he can play carries at the level he does, or he can pull out. So yeah, hopefully we can see some explosive action there. I look forward to playing against him. It's just I don't know really what to expect in the sense of I've never really played against him.
Right. Okay.
I look forward to it though.
We all will. Do you have any special words? Because Soaz came on stream, twitch.tv/theshotcallergg. That's twitch.tv/theshotcallergg. So good at plugging. He came on stream a couple of days ago and he was like, now for me it will just be, any other matchup and I'll prepare, but it won't be anything special. Yeah. Can we get some WWE action here?
I think it'll be the same thing.
Come into your lane.
No,
you were lucky that you left Fnatic.
I think that I have a lot of respect for him and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, if I'm playing against him, that's not going to make a difference, you know. Like, I'm not going to play differently or like do anything special, or, you know, maybe I'll have a cheese pick prepared, or like, you know, again, like half of my champion pool is champions that don't belong in the lane at this point. I think that's like kind of the niche I can bring to top lane, right? I can pick about any mage at any given point, and do relatively well on them. So in that sense, I look forward to playing against him, and yeah, I think we ended on good terms. So I think that like competing against each other will be good for our relationship going further as well. Because I feel like a lot of people think that there's like bad blood between us, and well, it's not like the entire year was you know, sunshine and rainbows. There were times where the coaching staff made decisions that go against him and put me in favor, and I never spoke up against them because, well, I got the opportunity, right? Why would I be like, no, I don't want to start, we should let him start, unless I really felt so, right? And there were times where I felt like, you know what, maybe it's better for him to start, and then the decision got made otherwise or whatever. But at the end of the day, we had a good talk at the end of the season, and I think we got through the year as friends, and we ended on good terms, which is really cool. So I look forward to competing against him because, well, he's the longest standing guy, right?
You called him the best Western top laner when we the very first time we spoke.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
but he is.
I joined Fnatic.
I mean, you could even say he's the best Western player if you look at his resume, right?
Yeah.
Purely based on results, he is. So I look forward to competing against him. He is a worthy opponent.
The anime redemption arc, I can't wait. So we have Soaz leaving. We also have Caps officially leaving the team. That has been officially confirmed. Under what circumstances would you ever consider leaving Fnatic? Given that it's, you know, like your first org, because like there's been a lot of talk, or I get a lot of messages about, hey, why don't players stay with orgs for a long time, where there is no like loyalty in esports and that kind of stuff. So what would be like your take on that?
Well, I mean, I think after, like, I signed for 3 years, right? I think I'm going to do out to 3 years almost no matter what, unless it's like complete, like, you know, if our roster gets completely revamped and there's no hope, then maybe, but I just don't see Fnatic letting that happen, and it probably will never happen. So in that sense, I don't think I'll ever leave Fnatic unless they don't want me, which is possible too, right? Like, I can underperform in the next few years. Like, that's the thing about the job. But the main reason why I feel like people leave is because they feel like the issues in the team are issues they can't fix themselves. They have to trust other people to fix them. And over the year, you build an opinion on whether or not they're actually going to do that, right? And I feel like with Caps, over the 2 years that he's played, he doesn't feel like the issues that we do have as a team. Because at the end of the day, I want people to understand every team has issues.
Yeah.
They might not be apparent to the public or whatever, but every single team has issues. This is a fact. I have never seen a team that doesn't have issues. And, you know, if there is one, then God bless those guys, right? They're probably the best in the world or whatever.
Maybe that's the secret of Dom and Griffin. Maybe. But
yeah, maybe.
They will,
but that's the thing. Eventually, they'll bump into an issue. Exactly. Like, that's just how it works. So I feel like when you change teams is when you admit that, you know what, I can't change these issues, and I want to be on a team where if the issues that are apparent, I can fix myself. So Cap's taking that opportunity on himself and being like, okay, the issues that this team does have, I can fix. I think that's reasonable.
All right, is there anything you want to add on that topic?
No, I think that's the main reason why people would leave a team, right? It's like, you either leave or join a team based on the fact that the apparent issues you can either fix or can't fix. So like, if you can't fix the issues, you feel like, you know, this player is an issue and I can't change his mind. Or even if you just have even if you just disagree on how to play the game, right? Because I feel like Fnatic this year was a team that was pretty much farming for light, right? I think that in spring, especially around Reckless, was the biggest point where we farmed for light. But even going into summer, you know, like going into our finals in summer, our idea was to just, you know, let Amazing gank and do whatever, and then if he doesn't win the game by minute 10, we're going to win anyway.
Oh, okay.
But we had no plan of like fighting them.
Right.
So in that sense, yeah, I'm pretty, like, I agree with, like, I can understand why Caps wanted to leave, because he was a player that wanted to be aggressive constantly and contest everything. And a lot of our game plans at the end of the day were, don't do that. So in that sense, if he feels like it's a coaching perspective thing where he feels like we should be doing that, I agree. However, I agree with that too, and I already told and gave feedback to the coaching staff that this is something I want to learn to do, because in spring, when I played my very first game, coaching staff gave me somewhat of the power to tell them how I want to play the game, how I will succeed in the game. And that's where you saw that game where Fnatic suddenly tower dives level 3, level 5, level 7, takes turrets, rotates. It just plays really aggressive early game, but like controlled aggression, right? And I feel like what people don't know about that week is that we went 3-0. We didn't drop a single scrim that entire week leading up to that.
23-0.
Both with me and Soaz, right? Because we were splitting time. So it's like we didn't lose almost a single. I think we lost. Eventually, we went like 25-1. I think in one of our warm-up games before LCS. So we lost like one game. I didn't. Soaz lost it. Yeah, I didn't lose it. I had the perfect record still of the scrim record at least, and then that was like, you know, that was proof to me that, you know what? Why don't we just always do this, right? And I feel like we proved that we can, but I guess it wasn't enough to convince Caps to give it another shot, because I think that was one of the big reasons why Caps didn't feel super comfortable playing for Fnatic. And again, I don't disagree with him. I would much rather see our team do that too, because I always felt like, you know, our team is stacked. Like, our talent is insane, and we should use that to our advantage by just being really oppressive as a team. We decided to play safer. And at the end of the day, you know, if I have to lock in Maokai and play safe and get another championship on the board, then I'm going to do that. So I can see the middle ground from both sides.
Right. So we talked a lot about the past year in particular, and of course your great achievements and the team and how it worked and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk a bit about you. Gabriël, is that the correct way to pronounce it?
Close enough.
Close enough. I mean, you know, it's like always with
the last name is kind of tricky.
Yeah.
It's a German name.
Is it? Rau?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
there we go.
So tell us a bit about like your background. You grew up in Belgium, but you have, or like half of your family is Brazilian?
Yeah, my mom's from Brazil.
So your mom's from Brazil. So just tell us a bit about like your upbringing and all that kind of jazz.
Honestly, I've always been like playing video games. My dad's in town, like it's his birthday today.
Congratulations.
And he came 2 days ago, and you know, he met my girlfriend for the first time, and he obviously starts talking about how I was like when I was a kid. And apparently, when I was like a kid, I always said that I wanted to be a pro gamer. So here I am. That kind of like sums up my youth, right? Because I was just playing video games the entire way through. I started on the GameCube. I think I was playing Monkey Ball.
Good.
That game's awesome, by the way. I love Monkey Ball. So I like Star Wars games as well, Battlefront
Rogue Squadron
games,
too.
Rogue Squadron. These kind of games is what I was playing back then. Ever since, I've always been playing video games. Started League like 5-6 years ago. Probably counting 6 now. Yeah, I think it's 6 years now. So since then, I've just been playing.
So were you always like more of a console kid, and then eventually made the switch to PC?
Yeah. Eventually, I made the switch to PC. I started like, I think, like 10 years old. At 11, I started playing World of Warcraft. Played that for 2.5 years-ish. And I started playing League.
My condolences.
Oh, it was. I mean, I played Cataclysm for a bit. It was fun.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's when I started.
Always forget that you're a bit younger than me still.
I mean,
because you know, when my friends started playing WoW, it was Wrath of the Lich King. Or like Burning Crusade, maybe.
Yeah. Makes sense.
I remember when Cataclysm.
It was good fun. I mean, I enjoyed it, and enough to go on to play League of Legends and then eventually make it. That's cool.
So how did you get into League in the first place?
World of Warcraft got a new expansion with the pandas. Everyone, me being the 12-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid back then, was like, yeah, pandas, you know, what the hell?
So this
is not the game that I'm used to. So our group of friends that was playing looked for a new game, and League of Legends was the first one that was coming up. It was very popular. It was free. Yeah. You could just give it a shot. So we just gave it a shot. The first time I tried it, it didn't really stick. But then, like, my brother kept playing it, and I got hooked on it as well. So I just kept playing.
You have an older brother?
Yeah, he got me into the game.
Oh, okay. Is he really proud of the fact that he was the one that got you?
Not particularly. You know, like he mentions it from time to time. He's proud of my achievements, but not of the fact that he got me into the game.
So when you first, or like when did you first decide, or when were you first like, okay, hey, I can actually go pro at this?
3 years ago now. Yeah. So it was like 17 was the age that you had to be.
Right.
So
unless you went
17,
to Turkey, like Caps did, and Zerx did it.
Yeah, I ended up going to Turkey too. But when I was 17, the year that I was allowed to go pro, I was like 500 points challenger, like just chilling, you know, like it wasn't like I was tryharding like too much in the sense that like I was doing like anything like significant. I was still going to school, but I noticed my grades at school were getting worse and I had to make a decision. So for me, at least, I just told my mom, you know what, like I want to choose, right? Like, I don't mind if you just tell me that stay in school and do your, like, finish your high school and then look for something else, or I can start trying right now. But I was convinced that I could make it, right? Back then, I was already like, okay, because when I was looking at people from the EU LCS, right? Back then, EU LCS and then LCS even, I was like, you know what, these players are good, but it's nothing I can't do if I don't try. Like, or if I try, it's nothing I won't be able to do. So I tried.
And your mom was fine with it?
Yeah, my mom was like, you know what, just go for it, you know, see what happens. And then I did that for 2 years. So I played solo queue at home for 2 years. Joined amateur leagues and stuff, which luckily now national leagues are a little more serious, which is, I'm pretty happy about that. I think that a lot of people deserve to have a place where they can grow. So I'm pretty happy that that's a thing now. Wasn't as much back when I was trying to go pro, but still.
So you actually quit school at 17?
Yes.
And your parents were Gucci with that, damn.
My mom was, my mom was supportive. My dad obviously wasn't, like, he wasn't convinced that it was a good idea, right? They both wanted me to finish my high school degree first, but I just felt like I could make it, and I just went for it. Took longer than expected, to be honest, but I made it.
So were you like, hey mom, look at LCS, this is what's actually happening? These guys
I mean,
actually
basically, yeah, you know, like I was trying to explain how it worked, and but the thing about my mom was really special is that she didn't really understand anything of it. She was just like, you know what, if that's what makes you happy, kid, go get him. Damn. That's basically what she said, you know, if that's what makes you happy, I'm not going to stop you. So, mom is the real MVP.
Mom is the real MVP, holy moly. Yeah, I know a lot of players that have very different paths to pro in that regard, so good job, mom, MVP. And I'm sure she's very proud and very happy now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Dad is too now.
Huh?
Dad's pretty happy about it too now.
Oh yeah, of course.
He was converted. You know, it was like, again, I think that the main reason is because he didn't know how much of a future it can have. Yeah. Right. But again, at the end of the day, out of the 100 people that say they can, how many do actually make it? Right. That's kind of
like 10 maybe. Like there was a funny, maybe not even. There was a funny picture of like a Danish LAN of the old days, like season 2 or something, and like a Danish tournament, and you see like, you know, old Diffusio, old BX, and old Cold, all standing there, and then you see, of course, a bunch of people that you've never heard anything about because they never made it. It's just those 3 or 4 guys that you recognize now.
Yeah, that's just how it works.
Damn. So, you already mentioned that you went to Turkey, you also went to Russia. Both of those stunts didn't go too well.
Both of them were terrible. Like in hindsight, they were like awful.
Do you regret going there?
No, absolutely not. I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that, sure, I'm considered to be a rookie, but at the end of the day, a lot of the growing pains that every rookie goes through, or like most, I think Faker didn't have any, for example, but most rookies go through, I kind of got to grow out there, right? So like by the time I was on stage for LCS, or like even in Berlin with Fnatic, I was already pretty okay. Like I was good enough to play EU LCS.
Right.
However, moving on to international tournaments, an entirely different beast. I was not ready.
You say that now?
Soon enough. No, MSI I was not ready. Like I was not ready at MSI. But yeah, like in Turkey, I got kicked after a month. I got replaced by Wicked. Painful experience. Not proud of that one. You know, all in all, like I didn't play well enough, like at least to my standards, so I didn't mind that I got replaced. I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like I did not play well enough, so
fair.
And then in Russia, we got relegated, or like we got put in relegations, but then we won relegation, so we stayed in the league, but not what we wanted either. One win off making playoffs though, so it's not like
it wasn't too awful.
Yeah, it wasn't completely devastating, but it was still pretty meh. All in all, though, both experiences made me a better player at the end of the day, so I'm pretty grateful that I got the shot in the first place.
I always have the mentality that if you are unhappy with the situation you are in or if you're happy with the situation you're in right now, then you shouldn't be too mad about like bad past experiences, because they teach you and eventually got you where you are today.
Good way of looking at it.
And if you're unhappy, well, then you should be focused on changing the current state anyway.
Yeah, makes sense.
Thinking about the past. Thank you. Good philosophy
lesson. Very
right
reasonable.
So, 2 years ago, you went to Korea and you spoke with LS. I spoke with LS while I was in Korea as well. And of course, he was very high of praise of you, and he was very highly praising you back then, 2 years ago. How did like LS help you in your path?
Honestly, this takes a little bit of a story.
Sure.
I used to have a friend that back when I was in amateur leagues. He was our analyst back then, and he would go over our games, and I would talk a lot because he was, I'm the type of person that if a coach like presents his services, I guess, to me, I will always like ask him questions. Like, can you go over that game? Like, tell me, give me a rough idea of what can be done better outside of this, because I'm someone that like. The way I improved at playing the game wasn't necessarily I opened the VOD and I relook every single mistake. I was just like, okay, I died there. Was it in or was it in? Did I in or was it a good play? Okay, it was in. Let's not do that again. Oh, it was a good play. Let's try that again. Maybe next time it'll work out. Yeah. But this and this reason is why it didn't work out. And it's that simple, right? And this is not something that took me 25 minutes per review. This was 5 minutes. Even just after your game, you remember the time you inted, right? Like, I still remember the deaths at World Finals, I think it was at minute 4, I think it was at minute 4:30. I was opting whether or not I should base or not.
Yeah.
And I decided to stay, and I stayed, and guess what happened? I got predator ganked and died. I knew that was a possibility, and I just inted, it was just stupid, and I admit that it was stupid, but that's what it takes to improve. You have to admit that it was a dumb mistake, or you shouldn't have done that, or shouldn't have been there. And honestly, in group stage, the same thing happened. People don't remember because I sidestepped the Grog Assault, but I knew that I was getting ganked before that when I killed Gragas and then died to Irelia. That was in group stage. I knew I knew there was a possibility he was going to predator on me, and I was probably going to have to turn. And I didn't flash the Irelia ult, which is why I died. But if I did, I would have killed him and walked away. The thing is I knew that was a possibility. And then straight after, I got ganked again. And the only reason that game I didn't go 1-5 is because I dodged his Grog Assault because he fucked up. Ning fucked up. The next time, he did not fuck up, and I went 0-6.
Yeah.
So, in other words, things come back, right? It's not like I didn't know that was a possibility. I just fucked up, and I got punished. It's that simple. And to go back to the point of how much LS helped me, to go back to the point of Shaves, which is the name of the coach that helped me, he was someone that would tell me consistently this stuff, and he would just prepare me, right? He would just be like, yo, that was bad, and he would keep helping me. And over the year, he basically made me an EU LCS level player by just coaching me and helping me. And then at the end of the story, he kept telling me, stop playing in amateur leagues, you're too good for this. Go play solo queue, hit top 10, hit rank 1, have people notice you, and go higher, right? But I never did. I kept playing in amateur leagues, and he was like, you know what? You're not going to hear it from me. You're not taking it from me, so go to this guy. He's kind of expensive, but
it's worth it.
He's going to tell you the exact same thing I'm telling you right now, and you're going to believe him because that's the way you are. So I went to LS, he coached me. He said the exact same things Shaves told me. He told me the exact same thing to do, which is go in solo queue and climb the top 10. And then I did it because I took it from LS, but I didn't take it from him. So, kind of embarrassing to admit, but it took LS to tell me to do something that I was being told for months by then to do. And I did. And guess what? I hit top 10, I eventually hit rank 1 in the year after. And then I maintained I think it was 900 points. I didn't drop under 900 LP that entire year because that was the benchmark I set for myself. Right. Was if I want to join an LCS team, I have to consistently be at this level. So I did that. And I helped, I guess in that sense, LS helped a lot, but it's not in terms of gameplay or knowledge that you made a revolutionary difference in my gameplay, right? It was just that boost of confidence of someone else telling me the same thing my friend kept telling me for months of you're good enough to do it, so go do it.
Right.
Is what basically pushed me over the edge. Yeah, just someone that was also, how do I put it? He had a reputation, right? Yeah. Pro players already approved of him and all this stuff. So that added on to the fact, because Shaves was someone that nobody really knew, right? Still don't. I'm the only player that knows of him, and the main reason is because the guy disappears for half a year at a time.
Oh, happens. Otherwise, people should probably.
No, he was I talked to him after MSI, and then up until now, funnily enough, a week ago, he messaged me, and then oh, you're alive. So I'm talking to him again. But yeah, he's really smart. Off topic again.
Completely fine. Maybe a team is listening into this and considers.
Oh, I mean, honestly, I've tried to get this guy on a team for like 2 years or 3 years now. Like, honestly, he's really smart. Like, I give 99% of the reason I'm where I am is because this guy told me how to play League of Legends.
I mean, there you have it. Rookie of the year, Esports Awards Rookie of the year. If you want this analyst/coach.
Yeah, I mean, he's really smart. Probably won't take the offer anyway because he hasn't.
Very interesting.
He's really troll. I don't know what he's doing. I'm going off topic with this one, but it's just he's a really good friend.
You're kind of creating like this mythical figure of like Abdo, you know, like Abdo is like this guy in the shadows and stuff, and like the CEO guy, the shadow coach.
Yeah, I hope he's going to do something in League.
Maybe he's like really a ghost.
Smart. No, he isn't. He's a real person.
Have you met him in real life?
No, actually.
Oh!
I have not. But honestly, if I can get him on Fnatic, I will, because the guy is too smart not to be on a team, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, again, my results kind of speak for itself, and
fair.
I think that a lot of that was him.
Okay, amazing figure. I have some quickfire questions for you. We did that a couple of times at the regular LCS. We never did it with you. But maybe you saw the one with like Roxa and Caps, for example. We did a duo interview there. But yeah, quickfire questions. Just try to answer them as quick as you can, and you'll be Gucci. First of all, why is your name Bwipo?
I used to have a cat that had a similar name.
Oh, very cute. What was your favorite game growing up as a child?
World of Warcraft. Well, as a child, I guess 10 is a bit too old. It's getting close. Hard to say.
You can go with World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
Okay.
I'll go with that.
No Pokemon?
Ooh, that's a good one. Close.
Yeah.
Close.
All right, fair. What's your favorite sport?
Does esports count?
Do you have a role model?
Not immediately.
What would you do if you wouldn't be a pro gamer? We kind of already answered that.
I have no idea.
You'd be jobless, essentially. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean, I probably would have gone to university and done something or like studied. I would have studied, but what I would have studied.
What were you like in school though?
I was doing like maths and something, but that didn't work out.
Okay.
That was very dramatic. So probably wouldn't have been maths.
Right. What would you buy if you had 1 million euros?
I actually don't know. I got asked this question by my girlfriend. She asked me if you just had 2 million euros, what would you buy? And I told her I
love how she goes with 2 million. I go,
I don't know why she said 2 million. Oh, I remember why. I remember.
Right, but like you don't know the answer to that.
No, I have no idea.
So like you don't have like
I actually have no idea what I would buy. You know, why would I buy a car? I don't have a driver's license. I don't.
Right, that helps.
Probably like a house or something. You know,
right.
like an apartment building or something. Just invest in something, I guess.
You just buy an apartment building with 1 million. I'm not sure who that's.
But not okay. A few apartments. Like you get my point.
Yeah. Just BMing. So yeah, like what were you like in school? I'm wondering because like there are some players that are kind of these genius types, but then they are like they hardcore fail in school because they're not approached correctly. I mean, and some of them, like Broxo, for example, was a pretty good student from Mothercatel and stuff like that. So like it's very
as a student, I was someone that like I didn't really care. You know, like school was something I didn't take very seriously.
Right.
I think I was just a good guy student. You know, like you know, I would be friends with the guy that wasn't popular in class, but I would also be friends with the people that were popular, if that makes sense. You know,
so it was like chilling.
I was just chilling. Yeah, I was just whoever came to talk to me, I'd talk to, but I wouldn't really do any effort to talk to anybody else. That's how I rolled, basically. You know, if someone came and sat down next to me, I could have a good time talking to right about anyone. But it's not like I'd be like, oh, hey, yo, what's up? You know, nah, that's not really how I rolled. Yeah, like eventually, I actually have a lot of school friends that I still talk to, not like daily, but like you know, we shoot a message to each other here and there, and every time I go back home to Belgium, we meet up and have a drink and just talk. So,
are they like impressed with what you achieved?
They all play League too. So
okay.
that's the cool
You're
part.
like walking in there like, what's up?
Yeah. Funnily enough, we used to joke about the fact that I would play for Fnatic and I would name change to Fnatic Kappa, because back then Kappa was the big meme, right? The Twitch meme. That was the meme back then, and we always joked about it that I would do it. And then when I joined Fnatic, they all told me to do it because we said we would. I didn't do it. Maybe you should do it. So sometimes in the regular season, on the very last day, we sometimes see matches between two teams, and it doesn't matter for the standings at all. So like Rockhat against Misfits, what did play jungle, Lee Sin and stuff like that. You know, back when he was.
And maybe you should do that and then instead go on stage with like a different account and it's like
Oh yeah, I don't know if I'd allow that.
we'll see. Maybe or like do a charity event or something like that. We'll see.
That'd be cool.
What would you recommend to? Oh, but like, does that mean you got like good grades in school or bad ones?
Oh, I mean, just enough, just barely over the edge.
Okay, so you're like consistently.
Oh yeah, I was really like the second to last year I was in school, I was running it down. It was terrible.
Because you just didn't care and only cared about
I was playing League of Legends, man. Like, holy moly. I failed so hard at maths. At the end of the year, I had 25% out of 100 as my main subject, which was 6 hours a week, and they let me through that year. I still don't know why. That's when I stopped taking school seriously, because they were like, you know what, kid, just don't take maths again, and you can go next year, and I'm like, you guys don't really care, do you? Like, you don't really care.
I mean, if you guys don't care, I'm not going to care, so...
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, that's when school was like, maybe they're kind of trolling a little.
I feel like we're doing a bad service at like being good role models right now.
Oh, I mean, don't get me
dropping
wrong.
out of school at 17.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You want to stay in school.
Yeah.
And the thing is, in me talking now, I understand school wasn't that bad. Like, honestly, I miss the times where I could just go to school and just meme and just take the piss.
Right.
Do whatever.
School was so chill.
Yeah, it was really chill if you think about it. But I understand I was that kid too that hated school and didn't end up going half of the time. But honestly,
it's funny because like cool. I have a very similar reaction to school. I mean, I went more times than you, but I was also notoriously late to school. Like I was a 5-minute walk from my school, and I was late almost every morning. And there was my math teacher always got so mad. But like that's when it's worse. Like when you're closer to the school, I feel like you're more likely to go like, because you're like, it's only 5 minutes, I'll rush it.
Yeah.
But like when you 30 minutes away, like from my experience as well.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I agree because I was late half the time too. So must be that.
Yeah, trying to time optimize always. I know a lot of pro players that do that as well. Yeah, I was just like sitting in school all day and I was like, I'm just gonna nap.
Same.
Anyway, what would you recommend to up and coming talent? Would you rather see them on the academy team of a really good LEC team, for example, for an academy, or a bad LEC team?
Oh.
So like you get a starting position on a bad LEC team.
I mean, again, I think that what's important is that throughout the year you maintain solo queue ranking and you maintain a good reputation. Okay. So like, just don't do anything stupid. Don't go into LEC or any national league trash talking people and acting as if you're good, because at the end of the day, you can be as good as you want to be. Actually, nobody's going to take you seriously. Like, that's just how it works. It was the same for me, coming into spring, it didn't matter if I trash talked. There was no point in me trash talking because nobody would take me seriously because they didn't see me play it. Same happened, it's just how it is. And I did in spring. I did when I won, and then everyone hated me.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just, for me, it was more like a challenge, right? Like, I was just telling myself, you know what, I'm going to tell everyone that I'm going to do this. I'm going to be the best top laner in Europe next split. That's just how it is. Turned out I was a bot laner. Which is like the funny thing, right? That's what people don't think about, which is something that's been on my mind, is I haven't played a full LCS split of top lane.
Yeah.
I have not played top lane for a full split of LCS. So like people that say I'm a good top laner, they only base it off the international tournaments that I played and playoffs, I guess. But I did not play 18 games of top lane in one split, not once. In fact, I think I have more bot lane games in the regular split than I do top lane.
Might be the case, yeah.
Pretty sure I do. So in that sense, that's pretty troll. But it was more of like a challenge for me that I was going to be the best top laner in Europe the next coming split, because of how I felt, right? Because I felt like by then I was good enough to compete, because even before that point, before the incident happened where Soaz broke his hand, there was talks of starting me, right? And this is something that that people didn't really know, because I didn't feel the need of saying it. There was no point. Yeah. But in my defense, this is one of the reasons why I was talking as big as I was, right? Because at that point, I was the rookie. I had to come in for Soaz. Everyone was hyping me up. I performed to expectations, which weren't very high, but I did. So, I was riding the high. I got off of that. And then I said something stupid. And I think that that's something that people have to understand too. And when they look at what people say after matches, is they don't really think about the emotions that are playing into what actually happened and the storylines people build for them. Because for me, that storyline was built up. I never really felt like I was going up against this superstar top laner that I had to, go even against or try not to get smashed or whatever. It was just like, oh, it's Wonder, this guy that I've scrimmed against a few times and he's pretty good, but
he's human.
Yeah, it's nobody I'm scared of, It's not like I'm shaking in my boots because I'm playing against Wonder. Like, it was just another game of League of Legends, and I just told my coaches, if you pick me Sound, nothing's gonna go wrong. It can't go wrong, guys. Sound's too broken.
So
go on.
Go back to the original question. Would you recommend a player to first go to Academy League and like a National League in that sense?
Just maintain high ranking in solo queue, so people in solo queue can get a feel for how good you are. Right, I think that's really important, is that you can show off your mechanics to people that are actually playing against you. Because there's a difference between seeing someone play well and playing against the guy and getting shit on. Like when I'm playing against, like when I see talents, like for example, Broken Blade, he's a good player. I've seen him play, he's a good player. But if I'm playing against him, until this guy actually puts me in the dumpster, I'm not going to be like, oh, he's really good. He's going to be like, yeah, he's pretty good. I'm not going to admit that he's like great or anything like that, because that's just what competition is, right? That's just the ego everybody has, really. You'll give them something, you'll tell them, yeah, this guy's good and he can be something, but you're not going to tell him he's better than you, or he's going to, like, he has to do something to you specifically, right? Make you feel like, shit, this guy's good, before you admit that he is. I think that the same goes for almost every player.
A lot of news coming up about talents coming to the LEC, starting in the LEC, interestingly enough, which hasn't happened for quite a while. I mean, spring 2017 was pretty busted with rookies, but since then we've consistently not seen that many rookies pop up. I mean, spring 2018 was alright with rookies as well.
I think it's mostly because Vitality came in with
rookies. Vitality came in. I mean, Upset came in, Sheriff came in, but like other than those guys, like Vitality and those two ADCs, and like you, but only for
I was waiting for it.
I mean, 2 games and stuff, like it's a different kind of ball game.
Yeah, makes sense.
Are you interested in seeing so many talents from the EU scene?
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what people can pull out, right? Because the way I put it is, like, for me, franchising is like the big deal behind franchising is definitely like, are these new orgs that are coming in, are they going to recycle old talent that didn't work? Like, no offense to any orgs that did or didn't, but there are a few names that come back year after year where everyone feels a little bit cheated, maybe, of like, why is this person still playing, is sometimes a question that gets asked. And nothing against those players, they're trying their best and I have respect for them. But at the end of the day, I would rather see an org try those new talents and then hopefully find the ones that work than actually just recycling those names again and getting the same result they have been for years, And I know I can say a few names and people will want me to say a few names, but I'm not. Because again, I'm sure they can find a place and a way of making things work out for them. It's just that in the specific setting that they've been in, it's not been working out. Also because they've been recycled in those bottom tier teams that keep showing up and they're kind of forced to play with like new players here and there, and it's just kind of rough.
It's kind of so. Right, we already talked about this off camera. A high amount of people really like the mustache you pulled. Yeah. Together with Joey, of course. Yeah. The Mario Brothers, the memes were everywhere. Yeah. Is there a chance that we could form a bet here that if this video hits 2,000 likes, you will show up to LCS with a beard again?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm going to grow out the facial hair and then I'll see what I do with it. Like, again, the stash maybe specifically, it was a little much, depends. So that was really a troll. Yeah. I mean, it was funny, but it was really troll. Like the main reason why I don't like doing that type of bet is because I have to show up, like I have to grow out my facial hair, and then when we have to do the pictures, I need to show up for then I have that picture for the rest of the split. So I have facial hair for the rest of the split on my pictures, but I don't when I'm playing. So that's like the annoying part, right? That's why I didn't like the last bet necessarily, but I thought it was funny enough to do it. So I don't mind trying it again, just seeing how it goes. Yeah, sure.
I mean, 2,000 likes is a very high amount. We've never hit that before. We've only hit 1,000 twice. So if that really happens, that's of course a very special occasion, and a lot of Bwipo fans in the Shotcaller.
Sure. I mean, I'm down to do it, and then if people like it or dislike it, be sure to let us know.
I mean, we do have a lot of Bwipo fans in the Discord for sure, partially because of the amazing emotes you deliver, which are of course used in the Discord as well. We have like 5 different Bwipo emotes.
Sheesh. So troll, man.
I mean, you just keep delivering, like,
no, but it's just, I've always done that. I think that people just notice that worlds. Yeah. Because there's more cameras on you, right? Pretty cool.
It's pretty funny, no? Like,
I mean, I like it, right? It's like like the only time I would dislike it is if people think I do it on purpose. Like I feel like if people are like, oh, he's doing it on purpose and stuff, that would kind of kill the idea for me.
The joy.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the way I feel, right? It's the way I emote.
Yeah. You're just an expressive person. It's not an act, and that's very important. I mean, there are a couple of players that are very expressive, and it's usually though that like players react when they play badly. So, for example, when I think of famous face cams and stuff, like it's Soaz getting dived on for the second time in a row, and he's just like. Sinking in his chair and that kind of stuff, which is a bit beyond the Soaz. I just realized maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a few players that do that. Like for example, Exile, he would always do that too.
Like he always touches his hair.
Yeah, he always does this or something. Like when something goes wrong. It's pretty funny.
I mean, it is an itch. So that's a thing that happens to a lot of players. But yeah, you deliver a wide array of different emotions.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I had the one in. The very first game I played in summer, I was playing Singed, and I died. I flashed into the turret and died trying to kill Vizchacha.
Oh right, yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. And then you like when
I had a pretty troll face on that one too.
Oh okay. What was it like?
I'm not gonna do that face again.
No? Okay, we need to blend it in.
You can look it up. You can look it up.
We need to blend it in.
It's definitely on the internet.
Knowing that you are always very confident in your abilities and looking to the future with excitement, especially for your own self. This video is supposed to be a video that can be watched 3 years in the future and still be enjoyed, and there's still a lot of insight to be gained. I think in a lot of ways we achieved that, so that's great. But to the people that are watching this 3 or maybe just 2, but 3 years later, what will you have achieved by then?
That's kind of hard to say. I mean, it's really hard to say, right? Because you don't know what to expect from like this year with Caps leaving specifically. There's a gap. There is a void left to be filled, and the question is if our replacement will be able to play up to those standards, or at the very least fill the shoes. Because I think that's one big deal that people don't realize is that he doesn't have to be as good as Caps. Whoever it is does not have to be as good as Caps. He has to be good enough to leave what Caps left behind, and then do his own thing from that point, on. Because I feel like that's what I did with Soaz, right? I'm not Soaz. I did something completely different. But I was good enough to fill in the void that he left. So, as long as that happens, I'm sure that we can win EU LCS again. I'm sure that a lot of people aren't, especially because of the controversy, giving Youngbuck as much credit as he deserves. Because there's been this many roster changes year after year in EU LCS, but at the end of the day, he's won 6 splits in a row. Yeah.
Boom.
That said, I would be surprised if we don't win again in the next 2 splits even. Again, I understand the competition is a little bit better, and sure, it might be difficult, but that's what we said at the start of 2018 too, right? All the competition's really stacked. I guess we came in kind of as the underdogs because G2 was winning everything, but then G2 changed up their whole lineup, so I'm not sure how like the public perception of that was, but at the end of the day, we still have Youngbuck. Which means that I think we're favored because you don't win 6 splits in a row purely based off luck. It's just not how it works.
It's just not how it works. Are you going to win an MVP award within the next 3 years?
It's really hard to say because I feel like Reckless is just like the way he plays the game and just how as a player he plays. He is someone that attracts MVP awards, like he is someone that knows how to, like for example, like he makes very little mistakes, which is a trait an MVP player has.
Yeah.
Right? Like the plays that he does make are usually very good, game-changing, and then he makes almost no mistakes. So I feel like as long as you have that guy on your team, right, it's hard to compete with that because, again, in summer, Caps didn't have to compete for an MVP award against Reckless, only against the other guys. But even then, I feel like Hilly and Broxa, for example, it's a very similar idea, very conservative and smart player in the sense that he's not going to make big mistakes. So in that sense, it'll be hard to say whether I get it or not, but yeah, I think I have it in me, right? If I can win Rookie of the Year and Most Outstanding Rookie and all this stuff, then I'm sure I can win an MVP award too.
It's definitely possible. Your best trait as a player and your worst trait that you still want to work on, obviously.
Best trade? It's kind of difficult to say. I think.
Big champion pool.
Oh, I mean, this is all too simple, right? This is all like, Nuke Duck has a big champion pool too, for example. Like you can have a big champion pool if you want one. I think my best trade is something like, I think best and worst trade are things that other people don't have. I think is the way I look at it. So like my best trade, I think, is that like, I think I have a way of appreciating my teammates more than other players do, right? For example, the way I emote on stage when one of my players makes a big play, this type of stuff, I feel like that's stuff people remember. At least I hope my teammates remember that I appreciate them that much, right? And then my worst trait, hard to say maybe. I think I sometimes just say what's on my mind. That's probably my worst trait, is that I say what's on my mind. Like I'm not gonna take anyone's shit, and this goes in game, outside of the game, with my teammates, with anybody. I'm not gonna sit there and like, have someone tell me something that's clearly wrong and then not have me argue against it. Like this is something that I don't do. And yeah, it's probably my worst trait in the sense that
it can backfire.
Yeah, it has. So yeah. Best and worst trait? Probably one of those two things. Difficult to say, really. I could give you the easy answer. I have a big champion pool and I can play 2 roles. I can't really. Everyone says I can play 2 roles, but in the end of the day, I think that's mostly Hylissang. Was mostly Hylissang.
Lots of appreciation for the support for once.
Yeah, I know. It is. At the end of the day, I was just laning. Summer Split Fnatic was 3 solo laners. And Hylissang was just going in between two solo lanes. Mid and bot lane. That's basically how...
Bringing out the good old 2 jungle strat from season 1.
Yeah, basically how we played in summer. It worked out. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Worked out for sure. Any final words? Anything you want to say to fans that have watched for more than 40, maybe 50 minutes?
Just, I want people to understand that Fnatic did everything they could to keep Caps. This is something that we didn't want. Even the players were asked to message Caps and try and talk to him and get him into staying with Fnatic. So we really tried everything. But at the end of the day, it's what he wanted to do, and I also want people to understand that we should respect that. Right? It was his decision, that's what he wants. So if people support Caps because he was playing on Fnatic, like don't, hate him because he's no longer doing that. I think that's what was the biggest deal. And then same goes for Joey. He said a few things that people took in a way where, it wasn't received very well, but he only means good, and he means to like protect us as the players and give a reason for why things went wrong. And, hate it or love it, doesn't really matter. Just understand that they're doing it because that's what they think was right. Just support Caps, support us. Don't hate on people for the sake of hating on people. It's not really fair. People make mistakes,
People make mistakes. Players too. They're just human as well.
Well, who knows? Maybe Caps, after a year he realizes that it wasn't the right decision, or who knows? Maybe we're all wrong, and he's gonna go win EU LCS for the next 20 years. Like, you never know, dude. So in that sense, just at the very least, don't hate him. Right. Whether you stop supporting him or not, that's completely up to you. But don't make him feel bad for a decision that he wanted to make. That's just not fair.
I really like that. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for watching, of course.
Thank you very much.
It's been a very long time. It's been the very first episode of the 1v1. We hope, of course, that you enjoyed this very first episode. If you did, please leave a like and a comment and subscribe and all that kind of jazz. Share us on social media and all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, Bwipo, for all of your time. I hope you have a great birthday with your dad.
Thank you.
And you have your birthday
coming up next month.
Yeah,
24th of December.
Which is a very special birthday date. But
kind of. But that's kind of that's. I want to shave on the 24th, so I kind of want to make sure that if we do the bet thing and it actually works out and we get more than 2,000 likes, then I'm gonna do it after. And even then, I don't know if I'm gonna do anything for New Year's because I kind of don't want to show up as a hobo for New Year's either. Then I only have 2 weeks to grow a beard. I don't think that's gonna work. Yeah,
we'll see how it works out. But if it does,
details. We'll see.
I will let him know. And, he will do it. No, we'll put you on a wall of shame or something like that.
Oh, talking about a wall of shame, the Fisher and Dracos, they are definitely. I'm calling them out on here. I will call them out in person. I haven't on Twitter yet, but I'm pretty sure at least I didn't see them do it.
No, I didn't see him either.
Because I was I was playing the tournament. I wasn't really watching the broadcast.
Yeah, no, like I didn't see him either. So yeah, feel called out now. I mean, Deficio is technically on a different team now,
well,
but
that
doesn't
would
matter.
make it so much better.
Yeah.
Imagine on his first day of Astralis playing, he has Fnatic shaved in his hair. That would be genius.
Amazing.
Imagine if we play again. Are they playing under the name Origin or Astralis?
Origin.
Oh, they're sort of playing under the name of Origin. Okay, that makes sense. Imagine if he goes on stage Origin and like he's there in the studio for Origin and he has Fnatic shaved in his head. That's just glorious, especially if we play against them. Imagine if we play against them.
Ah, perfect. I want it to happen now. Thank you so much for the reminder. Yes, so many memes. Thank you for all the memes you've provided over the split as well. And I hope you had a great time as well.
Oh, it was really cool actually. I had a good time.
Cheers.
I like the talk.
Yeah, so make sure to subscribe, like, and follow and all that kind of jazz. Thank you very much, Bwipo. Yeah, peace out. Bye-bye.